Hello everyone, welcome back to this Bilgi Level 5 online course video. Today we're going to study Emp B2 Unit 3A. First of all, we have a listening activity, then we'll move on to the grammar from this unit, which is multi-word verbs. First of all, we're going to listen to Seamus, Fiona and Henry talking about their learning experiences. One of them will talk about the best time to learn. One of them will talk about learning hours. One of them will talk about the strength of memory. Importantly, we're going to look at this activity. I will play the script and we can stop it and talk about the important points that they make. Also, pay attention to the verbs that they use to describe certain activities.
Track 1.44. Ever since I was first able to read, I've loved comic books. I just think it's a brilliant way of telling a story. I've read literally thousands of them. But at the same time, I discovered I was quite good at drawing. When I was about 8 years old, I started copying some of the pictures in comics, and even my parents were surprised by how good my copies were. It wasn't long before I started making up my own stories.
Okay, so he has been copying comic books since he was very young. Then he started making up his own stories, creating his own stories as well.
All of my friends were also really into comics, but none of them tried coming up with their own stories. But they quite liked reading mine, so I'd share the comics I wrote with them.
So yeah, his friends didn't try coming up with, didn't try thinking of their own stories, but they liked reading his. They were interested in that.
This was helpful because it gave me a good idea of what worked and what didn't. I studied design at university and then got a job as a graphic designer. But all the time I was writing and drawing my own comics for adults and children. I've just signed a contract with a major comics publisher in the USA, and I can now give up my job as a graphic designer.
So he used to be a graphic designer, but now he has just signed a contract to become a comic book writer. His dream job. He has given up his job as a graphic designer.
I think my career in comics is beginning to take off. Well, I hope to do really well. 10,000 hours, you bet. I've probably spent more time than that, but I loved every minute of it.
And of course, he is talking about learning hours. 10,000 hours of practice made him very good.
I'm a chemist, and I've been lucky enough to get a research position at a university. I love chemistry because it's all about the things that make up the world we live in. I find it fascinating.
Chemistry is fascinating to Fiona. She finds it very interesting because it's all about the things that make up the world, the atoms, the molecules, the chemicals that are in everything.
It's funny, whenever I say that I'm a chemist, one of the first things people mention is the table of elements. You know, all the symbols for all the different metals and gases. They can never figure out all those symbols. Well, I have this system where the letter or letters remind me of the name of a person, and that reminds me of a face, and something about the way he or she looks reminds me of the element.
So this is a mnemonic system. She can never figure out the symbols. To help her to remember them, she uses this system where she thinks of a name and that connects to the element. It's a memory device.
One colleague pointed out that this wasn't a very scientific way of remembering these elements. In fact, some scientists look down on this kind of thing, but it works for me.
So her colleagues' attitudes, other scientists don't like this kind of thing because it's not very scientific. In fact, they look down on this. They don't like it. They think it's a bad idea.
I find all these ways of making your memory stronger really interesting, and I think making associations to help you remember is really useful. I have to remember so much information in my research work, so I want to look into these techniques in more depth.
Yeah, so she's interested in the strength of memory. She wants to look into these, investigate, get more information about these techniques. Henry.
I'm a musician. I play saxophone in a band. We're just about to go on a tour, so we're practicing full time to get ready. We've got so much to do before the tour, so much that it's getting us all down a bit.
Yeah, so he's a musician, he's getting ready for his tour, but it's getting us all down. It's making them a bit depressed, it's making them sad.
Apart from needing to practice playing together, we've got to write some new songs and learn some others. I read about this idea of learning different things at different times of the day, so we decided to try it out and see if it'd help. So now we focus on writing new material in the morning, and we also use that time to learn the words and music of some classic songs we want to play, actually studying the notes and remembering the words of songs.
So yes, in the morning now they focus on this. That's the first thing they do because it's more mental. They have to use their brains, and that's of course better to do in the morning.
After lunch, we play together, do the physical learning.
And of course they use their physical bodies in the afternoon because that's the better time for physical practice.
And I have to say it's working pretty well. We're putting in a lot of work and we feel we're using the time well. The songs are getting easier to remember, and I think our playing in the afternoon is tighter. We're producing a better sound. The only problem is that some days we get a bit carried away in the afternoon and keep playing into the evening, which means we stay up late and aren't so good in the morning.
Okay, so yeah, the results are very positive. It's working pretty well and it's getting easier, but they have been getting a bit carried away. They don't realize what time it is and keep playing until the evening. Okay, let's look at these multi-word verbs now. What are the meanings of these multi-word verbs in bold? You listen to those people talking. Henry said, all of my friends were really into comic books. What does it mean to be into something? But none of them tried to come up with their own stories. So if you are into something, you are interested in something, you like something. So all of my friends really liked comic books, but none of them tried to come up with, invent, create, think of their own stories. Here we are. And so we decided to try it out. In this case, they tried something new to see if it works, see if you like it. You try something out, like an experiment. Now, we are going to look at this grammar in more detail. So, multi-word verbs or phrasal verbs, these are the same things. Basically, to begin with, there are two kinds of verbs. Some verbs need an object. I like, he has, they want. You need to use, I like something, he has something, they want something. There needs to be an object. Some verbs don't have a direct object. I run, she sleeps, we eat. These don't need an object. Sometimes, of course, they can be both. We eat something, we eat breakfast, could be here as well, of course. Next, so here are some multi-word phrasal verbs. These are some popular, common phrasal verbs. There are 4 types. We have type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. All of them, though, include a main part, the main verb, plus a particle or preposition that goes with it. So these are words like up, down, off, in, for, into, about. Little words that are called particles. Notice as well, some of these need an object, some of these don't need an object. You can see the different kinds here. And also, some of these, you know the word, you can easily understand what these words mean, wake up. But some of these, like go on about or look up to, maybe you don't know it. In this case, use a dictionary to find out what these words mean. So let's look at these very quickly in more detail. Type 1 has no direct object. Here are some examples. And it just looks like this. Verb, particle, no object. For example, I woke up early. The plane is taking off. The plane is going up into the sky. Type 2 has an object. These are some examples. And this looks like first you have your verb, then you have the object, then you have the particle. Or first you have the verb, then you have the particle, then you have the noun pronoun. Okay, you can do both. Usually you can do both in different ways. So let's look up this. I woke up my brother. I woke my brother up. These two sentences have the same, exactly the same meaning. Same thing, he is taking off his shoes. He is taking his shoes off. Exactly the same meaning. You can use both the same for any of these type 2 phrasal verbs. Type 3 is the same. There are some more examples here. The only difference is it must look like this. The object must come second, at the end, after the particle, not before. For example, focus on. Let's focus on grammar. Here is the object. It must come after, not before, not like this. This is incorrect. You cannot break up the verb and the particle. She is into jazz. This is the be verb. This is the particle. Not like this. It must stay together. Or type 3 phrasal verbs. Type 4 has 2 particles and an object. You can see here, up, with, down, on. Here are the 2 particles plus the verb. And in this case, the particles must stay together. The verb, particle, particle must look like this. And the object goes to the end. For example, another one, I get along with my best friend John. We are friends. We have a good relationship. But I fell out with my other friend Bob. We had an argument. We had a fight. These have to stick together. You can't break them up. There are a few special cases. Let's look at these very briefly. Like some multi-word verbs can have different meanings. For example, the verbs in I woke up and he woke me up have basically the same meaning, right? Wake up, wake up. But wake up is type 1. Wake me up is type 2. It needs an object. However, when you have this sentence, the plane took off and I took my socks off, in this case, the verb take off has a totally different meaning. So be aware of that. If you are not sure, look it up in the dictionary. Now, the last special case, when we focus on type 2 sentences, let's look at this. Here we have the object. Let's call these disgusting socks. Can be the object. They don't smell good. So, when the object is a short noun phrase, like my disgusting socks, it can come before or after the particle. We have just 3 words, 2 or 3 words. It can come like this, before the particle, or like this, after the particle. When the object is a long noun phrase, it normally comes after the particle, not before. Like, I took off, blah, 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 not I took the disgusting socks that I've been wearing for 6 days off. That doesn't sound right. You must keep these together when you have a long noun phrase as an object. And when the object is a pronoun, like him or her or it or us, it must come before the particle. I took them off, not I took off them. Don't put a pronoun after the particle. It must come before. Okay. Okay, back in Empower, let's go to the grammar focus on page 138. On this page, you can see the information from the PowerPoint presentation. It has a table here with the verbs included and the unusual stuff about type 2 multi-word verbs. On the next page, let's have a little look at the activities here. Okay, tick the correct sentences. Sometimes more than one sentence is correct. So we have here believe in. Believe in is a type 3 phrasal verb. So it must stay together. This is correct. This is also correct for the same meaning. I don't believe in them. The pronoun goes to the end. However, this one, you cannot break the verb up. So this is incorrect. And also, this is not correct. Number 2, do you want to try the new guitar I got for my birthday? Here we have a long noun phrase. This is type 2, try out. But you cannot break this up with such a long noun phrase. Not correct. B, try out, because this is together and the long noun phrase goes to the end. This is correct. Which one of these is correct? Well, it's D, isn't it? Because we have pronoun must go before here, the particle. With number 3, fall out. This is fall out with. In fact, we have 2 particles here. To fall out with. This is type 4. So again, I've fallen out with our neighbors. This is correct. But can you break it up like this? No, you cannot. We have fallen them out with, absolutely not. But we have fallen out with them, pronoun to the end, correct. Then number 4, make up. This is again type 2. Did you make up that story? Yeah, short noun phrase can go anywhere. Did you make that story up? It can go at the end, it can go in the middle, absolutely fine. Did you make up it, or did you make it up? Which one is correct? This one. The pronoun must go in the middle here. Lastly, let's look at exercise B. The first part here says rewrite these sentences, replacing the verb involved with multi-word verbs. We have the main verbs here and we have the particles here. The first one says, how did you invent a name for your shop? And the answer is, how did you come up with? How did you think of a name for your shop? The next one, have you investigated the cause of the accident? What does investigate mean? Well, another way to say investigate is look into. Okay, so if you look into something, you investigate something. This is past tense, so of course it should be, have you investigated the cause of the accident? Okay, I'll put the answers up here so you can check your answers. Yeah, I have been into, I have liked, we have run out of, we have used all our food. I hate to let you down, I hate to make you sad, disappoint you. I can't understand it, I can't figure it out, I can't solve the problem. I know I was wrong, stop going on about it, stop talking about it, stop repeating it. And do you think this product will take off, will be successful, will sell a lot of stuff? These are the meanings of these phrasal verbs. Again, dictionary can help you in these situations. If you have any more questions, and for further activities and exercises, please consult your weekly schedule and talk to your class teacher. Thank you for